Welcome to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. I'm Sharon Giroux, your resident skeptic who asks all the tough questions. And with me is Jennifer Neal, our manifesting maestro. Whether you're rolling your eyes or raising your vibration, we dive into all things manifestation, mindset, and energy from every side. Hit subscribe, settle in, and get ready for spirited debates, surprising experiments, and laughter on the journey to creating a life you love. Welcome back, everybody, to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. I'm Sharon.
And I'm Jennifer. And today we are talking about something that has absolutely nothing to do with vision boards and nothing to do with affirmations and everything to do with one sentence that someone says, and that changes how you might see yourself.
Yeah, this one fascinated me because, Jennifer, you called me after a girls' weekend, and you weren't upset because someone had yelled at you or insulted you or even criticized you because you were some really good friends. They just said, I hate loud people.
Yeah, and my entire nervous system changed.
Which actually made me think. I mean, I know you. You're a very strong human and you're clear about who you are. And I thought, really? That's all it took?
Apparently, yeah. I'm not so strong after all.
So tell us the story of how this came about.
So listen, before I tell you the story, I just want to say, I often and always, as anyone that listens knows, I use my own life as the experiment lab in this podcast. And I think one of the things I'm really good at is identifying something that happens that for me becomes an insight, right? There's an insight into this, into me, or into maybe other people. And
Yep.
I feel like when I can share this, other people can learn and grow from it too. So here's what happened. I'm away for the weekend with my very best friends. And we're laughing and we're talking and we're having a great time. And then somewhere in the conversation, a friend says, I hate loud people. And then another one immediately also says, oh my gosh, me too. I hate loud people. I hate people that always have to be the center of attention. Well, we always do, right?
Sure.
But now, they never said my name. They never looked at me. They never pointed me out. There is every possibility this had nothing to do with me.
But
my brain all of a sudden decided they were talking about me.
okay, so I need to interrupt you for a second because I think everyone listening has done this. Someone posts something super vague on Facebook and you automatically assume it's about you. Or someone sighs in the office and you make the assumption they're mad at you. Someone doesn't text you back and you assume that they're upset. You know, we're all unbelievable storytellers of everything that's going on with no actual evidence behind it.
Exactly, no evidence. But here's what happened next. So what happened next was I got quieter. I stopped adding to the stories. I stopped interrupting, which I shouldn't be interrupting anyway. I stopped laughing authentically, which is usually loudly.
Yep.
I literally started monitoring myself, not because anybody asked me to, but because I didn't want to provide any evidence to the party that they might have been right about me.
So nobody changed, but you changed.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's my skeptic question. Maybe it's just insecurity. Why are we making this about manifestation?
Because it's directly affected to manifestation. Your identity, we talk about this all the time, your identity creates behavior. And your behavior creates opportunities. And opportunities, stay with me, create outcomes. Manifestation isn't attracting from the ether. It is becoming.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to sidebar this for 2 seconds. So remember this conversation I just mentioned about being loud, contracting myself
Right.
because of a comment. I don't even know if it's about me. Okay.
Got it.
Here. Okay. Now we're going to pivot. So I'm reading this book called Bending Reality by Victoria Song. And for anybody that doesn't know this book, probably tons don't. Victoria Song is a venture capitalist. And she would pour money into some of the biggest tech entrepreneurs in America. So I'm reading this book, and one sentence I stopped in my tracks. And this one sentence says, she essentially explains that the impossible becomes probable only through expansion. Expansion, and we'll talk about this so people know what we're talking about in a minute. Expansion is where possibility lives. Contraction, on the alternative side, is where possibility dies.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I'm sure you're getting the idea here. So that's when it hits me. Because what did I do in that moment at that party with my friends? I contracted.
Okay, so explain your contraction again.
Right. So I heard this comment. I decided it was about me. There's no evidence to support that it's about me, but I have decided it's about me. So I start getting smaller. I start laughing less. I start being less confident. I start contributing less to the conversation with my very best friends. I start monitoring myself more. I start editing myself more, and I do more hiding.
So instead of becoming more of yourself, that big, bright, bold, beautiful Jennifer, you became less of yourself.
Exactly. Okay. So listen, and I'm not saying we need to look at ourselves. We talk about this all the time about becoming aware. If you're not doing the things that you think you need to be to become what you want, to get what you want, that's worth editing, right? That's worth being aware of. And if anything, I think Sharon, you and I are like very aware. I'm aware, like I'm
Yeah.
aware, but then I get carried away and I get excited anyway. So the big discussion here is, and here's what scares me. It wasn't the comment that was made. It was my agreement with the comment that was made, right? The second that I believed, maybe I am too much, I began proving it. And I began becoming the person that acted that I started becoming not too much, right? I began proving it, not to them, to myself. I started to shrink.
So here's something interesting, I think, psychologically, because once we decide something is true, our brain starts to collect the evidence and create this whole confirmation bias around it.
100%. And this isn't the first time this comment has come up over my lifetime. So
Yeah.
so my brain is going, see, Jen, again, evidence is there. Evidence is there. Evidence is there. Like you're exactly right. I'm starting to live from that identity and I'm starting to prove them right. Right.
Correct. Yeah.
So, okay. So let's pull this back again for a minute. So the manifestation peeps, we call this vibration, right?
Right.
And psychologists call it
Confirmation
confirmation
bias.
bias. That's your camp. And neuroscientists would call it prediction. And whatever language you use, the result is identical. I start living from a new identity.
Got it. Interesting. What does that lead us to then?
Yeah, so here's why this matters. Here's why we're talking about this today. I like to call this How Dreams Quietly Die. Doesn't that sound like a really great topic, an uplifting
Oof.
topic?
Oof.
How dreams quietly die. Imagine this over the years, okay? Imagine you're told you're too emotional, you're too loud, oh, you're too ambitious, you're too sensitive, you're too dramatic, you're too much. And every time you hear something along those lines, you start shaving off another piece of yourself. Literally imagine, I've just cut off my ear.
Yeah.
And then the next time, I've just cut off my nose. And then I shave off my hair. Like, if you think about it, I know it's silly, but if you think about it in that term, if I keep shaving off parts of my body, where am I going to be in a year from now?
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Dead, literally dead. So eventually you become someone who fits, but you no longer become who you were meant to become.
Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a moment, as you know I will. Sometimes people are loud, or people do dominate conversations, by way of an example. Shouldn't we have some semblance of self awareness so that we could grow around that?
Absolutely. I did that day, right? I
Yeah.
grew in the moment. I shut up. But is that who we want to be as friends too? Wait, listen, the day you're perfect, Sharon, I got a big problem. And the day I show up as perfect, we've got a big problem. Like, none of us, every single one of us has these tiny idiosyncrasies. I notice things about other people too, but I certainly don't declare them, right? So, shouldn't we grow? Absolutely. Growth isn't the same, though, as shrinking. Growth says, I'm going to become a better listener, or maybe it's time to let her talk. Shrinking says, I should stop talking completely. And those are two very different energies, vibrations. Yeah.
So you said shrinking says I should stop talking. They're completely different energies.
Yeah.
So now start from quotable moment.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's a big difference between, um, oh, you know what? I got carried away, right? I got carried away and I was a bit loud. I even shocked myself. There's a big difference between that and going, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to stop contributing. I don't matter anymore. So correction comes from love. Contraction comes from fear. And I can totally tell you, I wasn't feeling corrected from love. I was feeling contracted because I was scared that if I continued to show up the way I had been showing up, I was going to lose my friends, or they would think of me differently, or I was somehow not. It's that whole tribe mentality, right? I just don't fit anymore. And
Which is
yeah, so
hysterical because they're really good friends. And that's part of what people love about who you are is you
yeah.
are this, bright, big personality. And,
And
yeah,
yeah, check. I'm big. Not everybody can hold my personality. And in the past 57 years, I will tell you, I've tried to be less than that. But if I were less than that, Sharon,
you
couldn't
wouldn't
get
be
on this.
Jennifer.
I wouldn't be on this podcast. I'd be
Yeah,
on the shrinking, quiet podcast, right? I wouldn't be on this podcast. I wouldn't be on a podcast talking about a topic that a lot of people don't even want to talk about because it's so far out there for them. You
right.
know, a lot of my friends don't even bring it up because it's like, oh, she's doing that, right? Wouldn't be doing that. Wouldn't be opening up my camera every day to face the world on a topic that I believe so strongly about and love.
Yeah.
So I got to be really careful, right?
So let's talk a little bit about expansion.
Right. So if we go back to this book, which I highly recommend, and you can't see me, but I'm showing the book right now, called Bending Reality by Victoria Song, How to Make the Impossible Probable. Like, Victoria argues that expansion creates probability. So every time I'm more of myself, I attract all the things in the world that I want for myself, right? Think about every amazing opportunity that you have ever had. Were you hiding, or were you fully alive and acting and doing and being the things that you needed to do in that particular opportunity?
Look, and I think we've explored this over the past year we've been together. And what I've been discovering, as much of a skeptic as I have been, in some of the homework you've given me, is that when I am more of who I am, when I am clearer about what it is I want or need, those opportunities come my way. And it's not because I'm trying to disappear to think that I'm not good at this or I couldn't possibly do that. So I can see that being fully engaged and alive helps you exist fully in the world and see opportunities that align with that.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, nobody falls in love with someone that's hiding. Actually, that's probably not true. You can fall in love with someone that is not being their true self, but let me tell you what happens as the years unfold. You start to become your full self, you start to engage in the things you love, and the person that you were dating was like, that who's this person?
You've changed. You're not the
Yeah, like when
person
I
I
met you,
married.
you
Yeah.
loved surfing, and now you don't want to go on a surfboard? What is
Yeah.
that? That's what we do. We surf,
Yeah.
right? So nobody falls in love with someone that's hiding. Nobody builds a great company that is hiding.
Yeah.
And nobody changes the world that is hiding themselves, their parts, their bits. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to push back for a second and say, does one run the risk of becoming narcissistic if you just ignore everyone's opinions?
No. I mean, discernment matters. Feedback is valuable. I took the feedback in, right?
Yeah.
But one passing opinion, that's not your identity. So here's my personal reflection on this, and I've reflected on it, obviously. Um, I realized something. I actually like that I am loud. I bring energy. I bring excitement. I bring possibility. Some people won't like that, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has to like that in me because the very thing that someone dislikes might be the thing that somebody else absolutely loves. Like imagine if I start shrinking myself and I miss out an opportunity to be a guest on somebody else's show or podcast, right?
Yeah. So, look, that's actually true. There are people who walk into a room and they immediately change the energy of a room. And that's a gift. And I think we can't, because we're not ones who do it or we don't like the way the energy is changed, I don't think we can necessarily comment on it or criticize it because that's who they are as people.
Exactly. So, here's today's challenge. Think about one sentence that somebody said to you, maybe 20 years ago, maybe it was your parents, maybe it was a teacher, maybe it was a friend, maybe it was you're lazy or you're bad with money or you're not leadership material or you're intimidating. I've certainly gotten that one before too.
Same
You're
here.
right. You're
Yeah.
selfish. Ask yourself, have I been proving that story or have I been questioning it?
Well, and we go a step further and maybe ask, did they even mean me?
100%. Right. So maybe, you know, because mine probably wasn't even about me. I still think it was, but
And I will debate the
it
contrary
probably
with you
wasn't.
till the cows come home.
Yeah, like listen, I think we can all be that person. Every single one of us at a point in our life has gone, when we hear something, we go, oh my gosh, that's me. I do that.
And that's not a bad thing because at least it offers, as it did for you, the opportunity to self reflect for a minute.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
and
significant.
totally it is. I'm sure it probably wasn't even about me. I simply volunteered to make it about me, right? Here is a big believer moment. Manifestation isn't only about what you say to yourself, it's also about what you agree with about what other people say. And every agreement that you make becomes your future.
So here's where I'm going to reflect on it, because this is where you've convinced me today. Whether manifestation exists or not, every time you shrink, you reduce the number of possibilities available to you. You stop raising your hand, you stop speaking, you stop introducing yourself, you stop taking risks. So whether we're talking neuroscience or psychology or manifestation, the result is exactly the same thing: a smaller life.
Exactly. And the impossible doesn't become probable through hiding. It becomes probable through expansion.
Okay, Jen, why don't you give us some final takeaways today?
Well, maybe today, somebody calls you too much, or someone thinks you're too quiet and would like you to speak up, or you're too driven or too weird or too optimistic. Before agreeing with that statement, ask yourself, who benefits if I become smaller? Because I can promise you, your dreams won't. They will not benefit from that.
And maybe the next time someone makes an offhand comment, don't immediately volunteer to become the suspect.
Yeah, for sure, because your future is too important to hand over to somebody else an agreement just because of a passing comment. It's too important. Your future is too important.
And everybody, if this episode made you think about a story you've been carrying around for years, send it to someone who needs to hear it.
And remember, your job isn't to become acceptable. We've spent a lifetime trying to be accepted, but that's not your job. Your job is to become fully you. Because the life you are trying to manifest needs the fullest version of you, not the smallest. And maybe we'll end it there. We'll see you next time on Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic.
Thanks, Jennifer. Chat with you next week. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. If you enjoyed today's conversation, share it with a friend, believer or skeptic. And don't forget to leave us a review so others can join in the debate. Plus, check out Jennifer's TikTok account, Manifestation RX, where she writes daily prescriptions for manifesting your dreams. Think practical tips with a dash of magic. We love hearing your questions and stories, so tell us what you're manifesting or questioning this week. Until next time, keep an open mind and maybe manifest a little magic.